So today I'm going to be talking about your ego. Your ego is that human side of us, or our lower side of us, that tries to protect us, that tries to keep us out of harm's way. But often when it's doing that, it is also sabotaging our success. So I'm going to talk about the 6 signs that you can notice to see whether your ego is controlling your life, and how you can tame it. And get it back into check, right? All right, so like I said, I'm going to go through some of the reasons or signs that you can notice to know that your ego is kind of taking control and running the show, which is something that we don't really want. Our ego self is really connected to the human side of us, not the higher side of us, like our intuition or our connection. And normally it is shaped by events that happen when we're younger, when we're kids, that really help to shape the way that we see ourselves, help to shape our personality, forms our behavior patterns, our beliefs, our programs. And then what happens is once we've taken those on as a child, they then they then filter everything that we do as we're moving forward in life. Now the ego's job is to kind of keep us, in this human, this human construct. It's here so we have that human experience. So even though it could be holding us back and sabotaging our success from certain programs, it also has the ability to help us really enjoy life and live joyfully and fulfill our purpose and so forth. So it does serve a really good purpose. So we just want to make sure that it's working for us and not against us. So that's what we're going to look at today. So sign number 1 that your ego is out of control and you need to get it back into control is that nothing is ever good enough for you. And what I mean by this is that, you may have reached certain milestones, you may be moving towards your goal, but you're not celebrating the wins. You're not recognizing the things that are going right. And regardless of, who's around you or what your performance is, nothing ever seems to be good enough for you. So that is a big sign that your ego is a little out of control. And what it's trying to do is keep you safe, like we were saying before. But the fastest way to tame it or to overcome this part of your ego is, number 1, celebrate the wins. And we've talked a lot about, and obviously practice gratitude. So when you're keeping a gratitude journal, don't just be grateful for 5 new things every day, but also write down the things that went right that day. Especially if you're working towards a goal that's going to take a while for you to achieve. It always is great that you notice all the little things that are going right, because when we focus on that, then that expands and you find that more things start to go right. So it's really important that we do that. And really take some time to accept some acknowledgement as well. Often people will give us a compliment or acknowledge something that we've done, and we'll brush it off like it's all right. No. Stop, listen to what they say, breathe it in, and just sit with it for a moment, and really take in that compliment or that acknowledgement. Okay, so it's really important that you do that. So that's sign number 1. Sign number 2 is that you always have to be right. So this is an interesting one because I actually had my girlfriend, Dr. Marcy Cole, came around last night to give me, some company while I'm here in the house, and we're watching the results of the midterm elections. And we were talking about, the dichotomy of politics here in the country, and I'm just like, for me as an outsider coming in, what I've noticed that people are very righteous in their opinion about what they believe politically, and on both sides. I see it on absolutely on both sides, which for me is really interesting. So if you always, and I'm not saying that this is you, but if you find yourself, you're in an argument or you're in a discussion, especially about something as catalyzing as politics, and you find that you have to be right, I think it's a moment for you to be able to step back and go, "Ooh, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like, why is this happening?" And it's always a great thing just to really sit for a moment, because for me, it's like what we're talking about here are opinions. And opinions are never right or wrong. They're simply opinions. And they're only based on the knowledge and the life experience that we've had up until this point. So, to go into a conversation with someone and not appreciate the fact that they could have a completely different life experience and completely different information on the same subject, I think we're missing an opportunity to really expand who we are and our opinion if we don't get into a conversation about, what that other person's point of view is. It's very, very important that we do that. Now, I'm not saying that you have to agree, and I'm not saying that you have to walk away, from that conversation having been changed, but I think it does really help to have empathy and compassion for people that are coming from a different point of view when you can go into a conversation that without all the needing to be right and having to have that, all that, angsty emotion involved in the conversation. Tip number 3, or sign number 3, is that you're actually feeling overwhelmed by stress. And this is something that I can appreciate right now, being, recovering from surgery. It's like, when you're in stress or when you're in pain or when you're in, like a lower vibrational situation, what happens is that when you're focusing on that, that's all you see, that's all you feel. And so what happens is that, your ego starts to get concerned that things aren't going the way they should. And so it starts to throw up these signs that, and the way that it copes with that is that you're being overwhelmed with stress. Now, when you're overwhelmed with stress, what happens is that you immobilize and you get stuck in that moment. So that moment that you could feel, acknowledge, go, okay, I'm in stress, okay, whatever, but then keep moving through it. What happens is when you focus on it and you start to get overwhelmed, you start to stay in that moment much longer than you should. Okay, so we want to be able to move through that. Because, the ego's in survival mode. It's trying to do its best just to keep you safe. And so when it doesn't know what to do and things are getting too much, it'll shut down by putting you in overwhelm. So one way to tame it, or one way to notice if this is actually happening for you is, and this is what it happens with me, and I notice as soon as I do this, it's like, right, obviously I'm feeling pain or I'm feeling overwhelmed or something, and I get to the root of what it is that you start to become a victim. When you start to blame people around you for the things that are going on in your life or the situations that are happening, rather than sort of taking a moment and thinking, wait a minute, so what is my role here? What am I playing here? Why is this showing up for me? If I'm the creator of my reality, and this is being created in my reality, what is it here to teach me? When you go into victim mode, what happens is that, you're putting the blame on something or someone outside of you, which means that you lose all power to do anything about it, because it's not your fault. It's somebody else's or something else's. It's the economy. It's the whatever else is going on. So when you find that you're doing the blame game, it's time to stop and go, okay, what is it? What's underneath this? What is my role in this situation? That's keeping me stuck in this moment that I can't seem to move forward. And so, when you can do that, like for example with my knee, I've had a couple of days where it's been a little painful, I'll be honest. I'm toughing it out, but I know that I can't stay there. I know how powerful the mind is, in how we can shift out of, pain and into healing mode, how important it is for me to stay in that. And so I'm always trying to, push myself to go to that place, or, to shift myself to go to that place. Okay, so that was tip number 3. If you're overwhelmed with stress, really look at, not being the victim and looking at underneath it and seeing, what role you're actually playing and what this situation is here to teach you is really important. Okay, so number 4 is that life is not fun anymore. Okay, so this is what the ego is doing. When life is not fun anymore, the ego is keeping you busy and keeping you occupied, not necessarily productive, but definitely busy, so that you are distracted or numbed out from the fact that you're not fulfilling your purpose, or that you're not, having joy in your life, or that things aren't happening the way that you want. So, you get into this whole serious mode and everything has to be, a certain way, which ties into some of the previous signs, right? So when you get to this point, the way that you tame it is to really stop for a moment and go, okay, well, what would bring me joy in this moment? And it could be something simple. In USM, in my Ultimate Success Masterclass, in the first module, we talk about our daily success rituals, which are 2 things that we do every day that we commit to doing that make us feel good. And it could be something simple like singing a song and dancing around the house, or it could be going for a little walk out in nature, or it could be, a random act of kindness, whatever that is, that's going to shift you into a place of joy or happiness, and something that you can do in that moment. I think is really important that you focus on doing at least one or two of those things every day. Because remember, those higher level of frequency emotions are the same frequency as abundance. And the more that we can sit in that higher frequency, the easier life is for us, and it becomes more fun. So make a commitment to do that if that's something that's showing up for you. Okay, and sign number 5 is that you hate to lose more than you love to win. Okay, and here we're talking about competitiveness. Now, competitiveness in certain situations is fine, especially when you're striving and you're younger and you're trying to better yourself and you're trying to move ahead in life. But competitiveness from a place of lack is a lower frequency situation, lower frequency emotion. And we're competing at the expense of friendships and at the expense of learning opportunities and of growth. When we're in competition for that, from that place of lack. So we don't want to stay there either. What we really want to do is start to, appreciate ourselves on our own merits. Okay, looking inside at our self-esteem. Sometimes we compete because we want to compare ourselves to others. We want to beat other people. We want to, be in that place of separation where it's me against you. We're all connected. We're all part of the one thing. So when we can come from that place, appreciate our own achievements, appreciate everybody else's achievement, and come from a place of wholeness, of oneness, of connectedness. That's what's going to help to tame that sign that you hate losing more than you want to win. Okay, now I've got one more to go, and that is sign number 6 is that you start to take everything personally. So this happens a lot when we are in a place of overwhelm, and all these signs are kind of interrelated with each other. We start to see things that aren't there. Someone doesn't say hello, so we believe that they've slighted us. Someone doesn't share our opinion. Someone says something that you find offensive, where you wouldn't always find it offensive, but in this particular moment you do. When you start to take things personally. So that is a huge sign that your ego is out of control, because what that's saying is that that's saying is that you think everything's about you, which is not. Like, remember, we're connected, we're all one. And it also assumes that they know more about you than you think they know about you, because you're like, well, why would they say that? They would know that would tick me off, when that's not necessarily the case. And it's only because we're coming from a place of hurt or from overwhelm or from pain or whatever that is. And so we start to see things that aren't actually there. So, for me, if I ever get to that point, take a breath, stop for a moment. And then, and with any of these things, if you stop and take a breath, it really helps you to make a choice and go, okay, did they really mean to hurt me? Did they get out of bed this morning hoping to really tick me off? I don't think so, and helps you to see it from a different perspective, which is really what's interesting as well. So they are my 6 signs that your ego could be out of control. Now, we also, as we always do, we have a gift that we have for you as well. And today I wanted to do a little link here. I know that my team is going to be putting this up for you. And we've created a really successful quiz that helps you figure out what your success blocker is, what's blocking you from success, which is always, tied back to, like I said, these early childhood experiences that we have. We've had millions of people take this quiz to really get to the bottom of, what's holding them back. And doing this quiz could really help you really find that one thing that could be the key to, unlocking the chains that will help you step into like the most beautiful and amazing future that you want to create for yourself. So when my team put that little link there, make sure that you click on that and take the quiz and let's see what's finally holding you back from success.